Welcome back, folks. I'm going to continue with sculpting today. A couple videos ago, I made a bunch of homemade Play-Doh, all sorts of different colors. Last time I sculpted some food items, a hamburger and a piece of pizza. Today I'm going to sculpt some vehicles, I'm thinking. So I'm going to start with a car, and yeah, let's just make it happen. So I'm going to take some red. I think I'm going to do a red car here. And what I'm going to try to do is start with kind of a cube shape. And technically, this isn't going to be a cube. It's going to be more like a rectangular prism. The difference being a cube always has like squares for each side, whereas a rectangular prism is going to have some longer sides and some shorter ones. But my goal is for it to look something like a box, basically. A rectangular prism is just the fancy math word for a box. So it's just a box that's not perfectly square on all sides. So anytime we're working with sculpting stuff, Play-Doh, Model Magic, clay, anything like that, to get flat sides, you're really going to want to use the table because it's flat. So I'm going to push down gently. And now I know that the bottom is flat right here. That's nice and flat. The top isn't, the sides aren't. So I'm just going to keep flipping. Push down gently. Maybe I'll turn it up the tall way. Push down gently. Really, the only way to get flat sides is to push down against the table. So right now, I'm getting kind of close to something I might call like a cube shape. Now, it's never going to be perfectly straight on the edges because, again, I'm working with Play-Doh here. Play-Doh is always going to be kind of bumpy looking. It's never going to be, you know, crisp and clean like an actual box would be. But you can see that's looking kind of like a rectangle. That's looking kind of like a square, so we're getting there. So all I'm doing is turning and pushing gently on each side. Now, since I want it to be car-shaped, I want it to be a little longer one way and a little shorter the other way. So this is why it's not a cube. It's going to be a rectangular prism. So I'm just turning and pushing. And we're getting close. Now the problem is, again, you see this is getting really round here. So to get that flat, I have to turn and push gently. That's going to flatten it more into a cube. So really, to get what I want, it's going to take a little bit of time, just going back and forth. And when I stand it up the tall way like this, I'm going to push really gently so I'm not just flattening the whole thing back into a cube again. Okay, so that looks pretty close to what I want. As you can see, it's kind of box shaped. Again, it's a little bit rounded, which is fine. Cars aren't super boxy anyway. Not anymore. They used to be. They used to have sharp corners on them. These days, cars always have curves. Okay, cool. So we've got our box. What next? We're going to take this rectangular prism and we're going to make it car shaped. So the best way I can do that is I'm going to push down on the back of the car to make like the little trunk area, and I'm going to push down on the front of the car to make like the hood area, right? Now the problem is when I push down, it's going to make the clay kind of shoot out the sides a little bit. It's going to change the shape of it. So you can see how that's sticking out way more there. Push down gently here. Now it's sticking out way more there. So now I need to kind of push back in here to get it back into the shape I want. Again, anytime you're working with dough or clay or Play-Doh, anything like this, it's little bitty movements that you're doing. You always have to go back and do them several times. So from the top view, you can't really tell what I just did. I just pushed gently here and here. But when we turn it to the side view, hey, that looks a little bit like a car. I've got the hood, the trunk, and I guess there's where all the windows and doors and stuff would be. So I'm going to push that a little bit more this way. Squeeze it a little bit this way just to stand it up a little taller. And as far as my basic shape, hey, that's actually looking pretty good right there. And again, all I did was push down here. And then, of course, from the top view, you got to get it how you want it looking from the top. We don't want it sticking way out here and here on the front and back and thin in the middle. From the top view, it really should look pretty much like a rectangle, right? Okay, cool. So actually, I think this looks more like the hood and that looks more like the trunk. So maybe let's turn it that way. Okay. All right, so I can mess more with that shape later as I go. I think I'm good to go for now. I'll start making some other stuff. Now I don't have any black clay, so apparently my tires are going to be made with purple, which is like the darkest color I have. And hey, that's fine. It doesn't need to be realistic. It can be a little bit abstract up in here. So, to make my wheels, I'm going to make some little discs. So again, just like I did last time when I was making my hamburger, to make a disc, I'm going to start by rolling a little sphere, a little ball. Cool. And then I'm going to press down gently on the top, flip it over, press down gently on the bottom. And a disc is exactly the shape or form, I should say, that we want for a wheel, right? It's a little circle from this view and a little kind of oval from that view. I'm actually going to make this a little bit thicker, I think. Size-wise, it looks pretty good, but I want mine to be a little bit thicker. So I'm going to add a little more clay to it now that I know how it's going to turn out. And since I want 4 wheels, well, I know I want them to all be about the same size. So the first thing I'm going to do is give myself 4 little spheres that are all about the same size. Because if I'm not even using the same amount of clay, there's no way they're going to all turn out the same. Let's roll that up. Again, with something this small, you really only need 1 or 2 fingers to roll it. And they don't need to be perfect spheres. Excuse me. Because, of course, we're about to flatten them out into little discs anyway. Like, discs are just little flat cylinders, right? Not totally flat, but close to it. You know, like a wheel. Okay, so those look all about the same size. I think I'm pretty good to go here. So I'm going to push down gently on the top of each one. Whoa. If they stick, just run and grab them when they go flying across their table. I put some wax paper down again to help it from sticking. Working right on the table, depending on what your table's made out of, sometimes the clay or your Play-Doh will stick to the table. Tends to just work better if you have wax paper. So I put some of that down before I started. Okay. So that looks pretty good for my wheels. Again, you can see from this view, look like ovals. From this view, they look basically like circles. Not bad, not bad. Now, on a real car, I would want the wheels probably like this, right? So they're going below. But I feel like if I do that with Play-Doh, it's just going to squish the wheel down, because I don't think those little tiny wheels are going to be able to hold up the car, basically. They're just going to get squished. So I'm probably just going to stick the wheel right on the side of the car shape when it's done. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Okay, so before I call these wheels totally done, let's add some axles or hubcaps or some sort of detail to them. And take some white. And just like when I did the pepperonis last time, I'm just going to get a real small bit and push it down just a little. That looks about right. So 1. Trying to get these all about the same size. 2, that one's a little too big. Working with these teeny tiny little things here, you got to be a little precise with it if you want it to turn out right. I think that's a little too much. Okay, those look all about the same. 1 more. Okay, looks good. So let's put the little hubcaps on our wheel. So all I'm going to do is put one of these right in the center of each one. Right now that still looks like a sphere, like a ball. I don't want it to look like a ball. So I'm just going to push gently to flatten it out until I think it looks about right for a wheel. That looks pretty good. Okay. Again, gentle pressure here. If I just mash it down, it's just going to flatten everything out. And I will not have what I want. Perfect, perfect, perfect. 4 wheels. Awesome. Looking great. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and put the wheels on, I guess, before we do anything else. So like I said, normally you would expect the wheels to fall like right about there. But if I put them there, the car is not going to be able to stand up on its own. So when I put my wheels down, I'm going to put them almost just kind of lined up with the bottom of the car. That way, if it smushes down a little bit, it's not the end of the world. There we go. Now I'm just realizing, if I put on my other wheels now, I won't be able to turn this and stand it up sideways. So you saw how I just put those on. I'm going to save these for the end. I'm going to put these on at the very end. So if I put them on right now, I won't be able to flip my car sideways, and it'll be harder for you to see what I'm doing. Cool. Okay. So I got my basic shapes. You can see the wheels kind of sticking out the side there. I think all I really need to add is some windows, some doors, maybe some headlights, taillights, bumpers, hey, whatever you want to add. So let's get some glue. We're going to do this for windows, and I'm going to roll this out into a pretty thin slab. So we talked last time, a slab is just kind of like a flat piece of clay or dough. Now, obviously, I can't make it completely flat. If I make it completely flat, I won't even be able to peel it and stick it anywhere. So I'm going to roll that out pretty thin. Pretty thin. I think if I get any thinner than that, I'm going to have kind of a problem. So last time I just used like a dull butter knife to cut. Anything will cut through Play-Doh. Today, just to see, I want to see if this works. I'm not really sure. I'm going to see if I can just use like a pencil and how well that'll work. So let's see. I want a windshield here. Actually, a pencil is so much easier to use than a knife. So yeah, way better choice. So that looks about long enough. And I'm going to go ahead and make the shape of my windshield on the front and my windshield on the back at the same time. That way I know they're like the same basic size. And actually, yeah, just drawing through this with a pencil is working awesome. I like that a lot. Oh no! Make sure you draw all the way through before you peel it, I guess. Okay, so I'll recycle this and turn into some more windows in a minute. I've got my little square. I'm going to turn this into 2 rectangles just by drawing right through the middle. Maybe I have to hold it. Boop. Perfect. So here's one. We're going to put that right there and kind of shape it how we want it. We'll take this other one. I'm going to put that one right there. And I need to kind of shape it how I want it, because again, when it first sticks, it's not really going to go exactly where you want it most time. Maybe I can use my little pencil actually to help me shape these too. So push down just a little bit there. That's working great. When you're working with clay or Play-Doh, I mean, anything you have can really be a tool. Okay. Not bad. We'll see what that looks like from a different view in just a minute. And one of the great things and one of the problems with working with clay is if it doesn't look quite right, you can always just pinch it and, you know, push it into a different place. But the problem is a lot of times you end up pushing things into different places where you don't want them to be. So you got to be kind of careful with it. All right. So we got windshields on the front and back. Not bad. Let's see if we can make some windows. They should probably be a lot smaller. I'm going to push my blue back out into a little slab again. That's pretty thin. Hopefully that'll work okay. And, let's do, if we think about this from the side view, see how it kind of goes up and over? So maybe I'll do that up and over shape for the windows. Like that. Right, and just a straight line on the bottom. So maybe I'll make the other windows the same way. And technically what I just made is a hexagon, a 6-sided shape, but I'm going to cut that in half. Oh my goodness, we're using math. Hexagons, that's a math vocab word. 6 sides, it's a hexagon. Now we are about to change this single hexagon into 2 trapezoids. What is a trapezoid, you ask? Well, actually most of y'all probably know what a trapezoid is. If you don't, if you're new to the game, A trapezoid is a four-sided shape that basically looks like what you would get if you took a triangle. So let's make that into an actual triangle so you can see what I'm talking about, because right now it does not look like a triangle. There we go. If you took a triangle and just cut the top of it off, I'll use my knife for this actually. Boop. The shape that is left over is called a trapezoid. So a trapezoid is a shape that has four sides, flat on the top, flat on the bottom, and then it has two diagonal sides kind of tilted in. So if you imagine a triangle with the top cut off, that's a trapezoid. And that's what I'm about to turn my hexagon right here into. So I'm going to split that right down the middle. Uh-oh, it's all sticky. There we go. Now, since these are such tiny little thin pieces of clay, as I use them, they're kind of deforming and changing shape. But there we go. That's two trapezoids, right? You take my car. I'll put one set right here. I got to do this really carefully because I can't really change it once I put it on. Oh no, that didn't look great. Ah, it's all right. It's all right. Cool. So there's the side windows. Put these side windows on if I can do it without messing it all up. Oop, messed it up a little bit. It's okay. Maybe, I think I might be about done with this. Maybe I'll go ahead and stick my wheels on. All right, so I think all that's left to do is to clean up my sculpture a little bit. Where I put the windows on, there's a lot of kind of bumpy looking lines, so we can clean that up. Again, if you're trying to flatten out a piece of clay, hey, use something flat, right? If I want the window to be flat, push something flat against it. As long as it doesn't stick too much, I'll be all right. And there we go. Little Play-Doh car. I think I still need to clean up those windows a little bit. All right, cool. Let's put that over here. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do next. I was going to make like a dump truck or something, but just working with that car made me realize these materials are kind of tricky. So I'm going to try something totally different. What I'm going to try here is I'm going to try to make a boat. I'm going to actually model out of clay like the water around it too. So let's see how this goes. I don't know how this is going to go, but we'll see how it goes. So we talk about in class like a sculpture. Really what makes something a sculpture is the ability for it to stand up on its own, right? So like if we look at my car, well, my car is, you know, standing upright all by itself. It doesn't need anything to hold it up. So the difference between something that we'd really call a sculpture and something that's not a sculpture, I always like to use like a stick person as the example, because I could really easily take some clay and just kind of draw out, ooh, there's a little coil. Like, just make a little person out of it, you know? And hey, if you want to do something like this, why not? There's no reason not to. But here's the thing. With stuff like this, we wouldn't really call this a sculpture. This is more like drawing with clay, I like to say, because this is two-dimensional. It's flat. If I tried to take this and stand it up in 3D, I mean, it's not going to happen. It can't support itself. So we wouldn't really call something like that a sculpture. Whereas my car actually stands up on its own. So we'd consider that a sculpture. My hamburger and my pizza kind of, you know, were 3D and could stand up on their own. So, let's see if we can make a sculpture of a boat moving through the water. So I'm going to start with kind of a thick slab of clay, actually. I don't want it to be super thin, because maybe this is going to actually support the part of the boat that's going through it. And I have two slightly different colors of blue. If you watch the video where I made the clay, I have like kind of a darker and a lighter. So maybe I'll take some of that darker blue so I can make waves. Maybe I'll take a little bit of this white also so I can make waves in the water. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so let's make the shape of our boat. What color is the boat gonna be? Let's make it orange. I got a lot of orange left. Let's make it orange. So, you can see my Play-Doh is kind of getting other colors mixed into it. That's all right. Okay. So, there's my water. I'm gonna have the boat right in the middle. Let's see if we can make, let's see if we can go ahead and make some waves before we even add the boat. So this type of form right here is called a coil. To get a good coil, what you've got to do is stop every couple of seconds, find the thick parts, and roll them out. Because if you just go back and forth, it's going to be super, super lumpy. So to get a nice looking coil, you got to, again, just like everything else we're doing, we got to take it slow. You see me stopping every couple of seconds. There's a bulge. Roll out the bulge. Stop. That's looking pretty good. It's kind of bulgy right there. Let's roll out the bulge. A little bit at a time. Okay. I'm going to get this really thin. This is just going to be on the surface of the water. Kind of as the ship is moving through the water, you'll see the waves breaking around it, right? So, in fact, I'll split that in half. Roll it a little bit more. Okay, here's our water. And maybe the front of the ship's going to be like right here. So I'll just kind of stretch that out. That'll be the waves kind of breaking around the ship. I might use my pencil to add some texture to that in a minute. We'll see. I haven't actually sculpted with Play-Doh in so long. Like, it's been so long. I use a lot of Model Magic, but Model Magic's a little bit different. Model Magic, one thing I like about Model Magic is it holds its weight better. Like, I was like, oh, I'll make an airplane out of Play-Doh. And you can't, like, the wings that stick out, they'll just bend and fall apart when you make them out of Play-Doh. Model Magic, you could probably do it. So maybe we got some darker blue. Maybe I'll kind of do that back and forth over that like that. I don't know. I'm making it up as I go, folks. I'm about to add some texture to this too, so. All right, so let's see what happens if we just kind of blend that together. Just using a pencil here to. I think we need more white. That's why I saved a little extra white. I had a feeling we might need more of that white. Okay, so let's add more white. Okay. Oh no. So that's just more of those waves. If you've ever been out like riding in a boat, they call this wake. I don't know why it's called wake, W-A-K-E, but the waves that kind of crash around the side and the back of the boat are called the wake. So this is all of our wake from our boat moving through the water. Just kind of mixing it together, adding a little bit of texture to it. Cool. All right, well, let's get our boat in there. Now for the boat, you're not going to see obviously the bottom part because it's down in the water. There's my water. You can see the wake, the waves are kind of sticking up a little bit, especially around where it's going to be near the boat. All right, so how am I going to make the boat? I'm going to press it down a little bit, not totally flat. I don't want it to be sticking out of the water about that much. So now I just need to kind of shape it into the way I want it to be shaped. Kind of like when I did my car to make the shape of it. Except for I want the front of my boat to be pointy. The back's not going to be too pointy, but I want the front to be kind of pointy. Like that. Okay, that's what it looks like from the side. Okay. And if you think about an actual boat, let's say that's the top part. It would come down more like that. There's my bottom. Okay. And the only other thing is I want to get it pretty flat where the kind of deck of the boat would be. So I'll just turn it upside down and gently kind of pat it. Okay. So let's pop that on. It looks like a carrot. Oh, maybe orange wasn't the right color to use. That's okay. But we can see now how the little water wake going around it is blending out. Got the front. Now, this is one of those things, I'm not sure if this is going to work at all with Play-Doh, but I'm going to try. Let's see if we can make like a mast and a sail. A mast being the part that like sticks up straight, right? Now, the reason I'm a little concerned about this with Play-Doh is that Play-Doh isn't going to hold its weight very well. If I make like a really thin coil like I just showed you and stand it up, it's just going to flop right over, right? And yeah, I think if I make it any thinner than that, I'm probably going to have a real problem on my hands. Now, before I actually attach it, because if I just stand that up like that, I think it'll probably fall right over. So I'm actually going to make the sail ahead of time, and hopefully the sail will kind of help hold it up a little too. So what color do we want to use for the sail? Our boat is orange. Maybe I should just lean into the carrot thing and use green. We already got blue. We got white. Should I use white for the sail? Let's use purple. I'm being really indecisive right now. Let's use purple. No, let's use green. Let's lean into the... If it looks like a carrot, it's about to look a lot like a carrot. We're going to add a green sail to our boat. Okay. So, we got a theme going on, I guess. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a pretty thick slab. Now, in real life, of course, a sail would be really thin. It's a piece of cloth. We can't make things really thin when we're using modeling clay or Play-Doh or anything like that, right? It's just not going to work out. So instead, I'm going to make a pretty thick slab here. Probably about as thick as I made that little pole. Again, you can see that's pretty thick. That's pretty thick. Just flipping over pretty frequently so both sides stay flat. I don't want them to be lumpy. All right. And let's cut. That'll be the tall side. Just going to do like kind of a triangle shape. That kind of classic sailboat look, I guess. Okay. Green sail. Like I said, hey, we have purple tires on our car. We got green sails. We're getting abstract. It's fine. It is fine. All right, so let's attach our mast. I'm just going to kind of push those together. There we go. And now let's see if this will actually stand up straight on our boat. It might not. It might fall apart. I'm going to push down gently. Actually, I think if I leave it alone, it will stand up just fine. Success. I made a carrot boat. Now I'm going to try to see if I can turn it and show it to you without the sail falling off. But if I leave it tilted for much longer without holding it up, the whole thing's going to fall apart. So maybe I will let that sit right there. There's my boat. I got my car over here. Yoink. I'm going to try to clean this car up a little bit more. Maybe I can add some lights or something to the front of the back. All right. Cool. Well, I think my food went a little bit better than my vehicles, but hey, try new things. That's how you learn, right? So maybe I'll try some other sculptures tomorrow. Anyway, I think I'm going to go wash my hands. Other than that, hey, that's it for today. If you don't have Play-Doh at home and you want to see how to make it, I did a couple of videos back about how to make Play-Doh out of flour and some other stuff you may have around your house. So if you're interested in that, you can look at that video and ask your parents to help you make some Play-Doh. But yeah, that's it for today. I guess I'll do a little bit more sculpting tomorrow. See you next time. Later.